Greetings, brothers and sisters around the world. How you doing out there? Hope you're all fine. We've got another day, another show. I mean, I was talking to a few friends of mine about 2 weeks ago. We were talking about the state of reggae in its current state. We were talking about the artists, the producers, the followers of reggae, the labels, the whole 9 yards. And then we started talking about the artists that are shaping reggae today. Of course, taking over from the legacy of the likes of Bob Marley, people like Peter Tosh, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, and so many of the icons who are no longer around, and even the ones who are still with us. We were talking about what the legacies that they've passed down to this current generation of reggae artists. And someone suggested to me, Chrissy B, you should go on your YouTube or do a video about it and then post it up to YouTube and then share it around social media. So here I am now, with the few minutes I've got to spare, talking a little bit about the current state of reggae music. And in my opinion, reggae music is in a very, very good place. We've got the likes of Chronics, we've got the likes of John 9. These are the cultural artists that make reggae music what it is, and make, carrying the legacies of Marley, the Wailers, Tosh. We've got people like Queen Ifrica, we call her the Fire Mama. Those are conscious artists. We've got people like Taras Riley, who came all those years ago with She's Royal, and then carried on and done many, many other great works. The son of the legendary Jimmy Riley, who was a singer in the 60s with the Uniques group. And so, for me, reggae music is in a very good place. There was a time when I was worried about, I would say maybe 25 years ago, I was a bit worried because some of the music was hearing then was really, obtained a lot of explicit lyrics, a lot of innuendo in the lyrics. So we're talking about the ragga phase of reggae music during the 90s. You're talking about, say, from 91 come down to, say, 95, 96, 97, around that time period. Then we had Sizzler. We had Sizzler Kalonji, who came on the scene around that time, around 96, 97 time, and he came with Black Woman and Child, and then with an album of the same name. And when I heard that song maybe a couple of years after it came out, so I would have heard that song, say, around 99, 2000. And I thought, it gave me goosebumps when I first heard that song. And let's not forget, we also lost Garnet Silk in 1994. And of course, Garnet Silk was the man they were talking about as being the heir apparent to Robert Nesta Marley, to Bob Marley. And then when he passed away, then there was a bit of a void in the industry, because the cultural aspect of the industry had kind of gone because of that, such an unfortunate incident what took Garnet Silk's life when his mother's house was on fire and he was in there. They went back to rescue his mother, and then in doing so, got burnt in the house in trying to rescue his mother in the house after it caught a fire. And that was really a bad moment for reggae music. And then, but we had afterwards, we had Luciano, who virtually came as soon as Garnet Silk passed away. Then we had Luciano, who came on the scene more or less within several months of Garnet Silk's passing. And so it's like the Almighty has sent us this blessing and say, okay, then you've lost the great Garnet Silk, but here's another one, here's Luciano, and he more or less carried on from where Garnet Silk left off. And so when we had him now in 1995, when he came out of that Life album, we said yes, even though at that time it wasn't, some of the songs were more jazzy reggae, they were like commercial sounding reggae songs, and then he came out with another song called Sweep Over My Soul, and when we heard that, the reggae fraternity said yes, this is it, we are made. But there's been lots of ups and downs, because you've got, for one negative artist, you've got a positive artist. But I think now it's becoming more positive rather than negative. As I said before, there was a time in the 90s when I was worried, because we wasn't hearing a lot of cultural content within the reggae acts, with the exception of when Sizzler came on the scene. Then we had Anthony B, who came on the scene with a tune called Fire Upon Rome. That was around 1996, and then we said yes. But the void for Garnet Silk wasn't really fully fulfilled. And then when Luciano came on the scene now, then we said it took him a little time. Then we said yes, this is more or less Garnet Silk's continuation of bringing the cultural aspect of reggae music to the world. But we still had people some of the old timers who were still carrying the reggae, the roots reggae torch at that time, people like Earl 16 at that time, and some of the legendary artists from the 70s, 80s, and even as far back as the 60s were still doing their thing in a culturally to, you know, take the reggae music to the world, to the four corners of the globe. And of course, you had Bob Marley's offspring. You had people like Ziggy Marley, who carried on from his father's legacy. Then when Damian Marley came out, Junior Gong came out around 1999, I started hearing Junior Gong. There was a concert in tribute to Bob Marley on the TV, and then that's for the first time I saw Damian Marley perform. That was 1999, and I thought, who is this? And then they kept saying, oh, it's Bob Marley's, I think it was Bob Marley's youngest son. And so, but it took time for me to kind of grow with him. Then I went and got the album, you know, one of his albums, with him leaning against, I think it's against a tree. And then when Welcome to Jamrock came on the scene in 2005, when that song dropped in 2005, I was like, yeah, okay then, yeah, we could work with this. And it was a massive global smash around the world. And I remember at the time my father loved Bob Marley, and when Junior Gong came out in 2000, when that song, I should say, because he was around before, when that song by Junior Marley came out, Welcome to Jamrock, in 2005, that was everywhere. And my father said he was so excited, you know, he was so excited, my father, when he saw that in 2005. And then you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song. So for me, I really do think that reggae music is in a very good place. As I said, Queen Ifrica, Janine, we've got Tyrus Riley, we've got Chronix, you know, we've got Ibamar. Even though I was saying to myself the other day, Ibamar is kind of gone quiet, but he's still there. Ibamar, I-Octane, I've always liked I-Octane. I've always liked him. And there's a few others. We've still got Budger there. Budger come back from there. Since Budger's come back out of jail again, he's just hitting some big heights. He got a festival song winner the other day with the festival song winning song, Jamaica, the other day, because you know, every year, annually, every August, when it's Jamaica's independence, they have a festival song competition, and you know, for and then all these artists who compete with each other, and then I think the public pick which is going to be the festival song for that year. And then Buju Banton won it a few weeks ago. Actually, it's a month ago, yeah, because that was early August, so it was a month ago, with a song called Jamaica, wonderful song by the great Buju Banton. And so ever since he's been out of jail, he's been really hitting some real heights, you know. I mentioned some more. I mean, there's some great but like even people like Coffee's very young, but even Coffee, I must say, Coffee has got some vibes about her, and she's really she's a very, very good she's more of an MC. She's not really a vocalist, she's more of an MC, but I like her tone, I like her flow, and I like the fact that she likes to collaborate with people. And there's even suggestions that she's going to be collaborating with some people in other genres, like Beyonce. I heard some whispers that she's been doing some work with Beyonce and with Rihanna as well. And I want to see a Buju Banton. I really want to see a Buju Banton. I would love that. For me, that's a great collaboration. Coffee with Buju Banton. That's going to be absolutely awesome if that ever happened. But there's so many other guys we could mention. They can't all come to me right now. But I'll give you a list there, and some popular names who are carrying the swing, who are, you know, really, really rocking it right now in the genre of reggae dancehall music around the world. You know, and that's really it. You know, for me, reggae music has been much maligned, much ostracized over the years. I remember in the early 80s when people like Yellowman was big on the scene. People like Yellowman and some others, like Peter Metro, and so many others of those DJs, you know, Rankin Dread in the early 80s, and they were talking about it being a sadness music. Johnny Ringo, General Echo were saying that yeah, this music. And that was around the time Bob Marley's demise, and they were saying that really Bob Marley's death has really opened up a new direction for reggae. Instead of it going up, it's on an upward trajectory, it's on a downward trajectory with all this sadness music. And of course, Yellowman, even though I love Yellowman, he was at the forefront of that. But Yellowman did sing some cultural songs as well. He sang some songs that are actually cultural, rootical, you know, but they were blaming him. And then eventually it came to Shabba. excuse me, and Shabba in the 90s, in the 80s, 90s, they were saying that Shabba Ranks was singing nothing but slackness music, and he even did a song, Shabba Ranks, about me no know where this slackness in my car, me no know, I can't do it, but me no know where all this slackness in car, me no know. I remember hearing that song in 1991, and they were saying that don't blame Shabba, blame it on the Blue movie or something like that. Now Blue movie is like porn, isn't it? So he said, "No, me Shabba, I had the Blue movie on the, you know, you should blame it on." And I remember hearing that song in the I think it was 1991. I was up in Northampton with a relative, you know, and their house, and I first heard that song on the radio, you know, and then I say, yeah, wow, you know. But yeah, but then again, but there's always, but as I said, the cultural aspect of the music is what we need to look at. You know, as I said, those legendary artists, they done a lot of cultural songs. People like Culture, before Joseph Hill passed away, the lead singer of Culture, he was touring and he was carrying the torch for Rasta music, which as he calls it, red, gold and green music, and he was carrying a torch for that, and he was going all over the globe and promoting Rasta music. You got people like Bunny Wailer, these are the legends now. Bunny Wailer, even Gregory Isaacs, he does love songs, but he has a huge catalogue of roots music as well. The Crown Prince, Dennis Brown, people like Frankie Paul sing cultural songs. If they do 5 or 6 love songs, they have at least one cultural song in their repertoire. I mentioned people like Earl 16. A lot of these legends and these guys have been in the music for over the last 40 plus years. I've sung a lot of cultural songs, but now the new up-and-coming artists who I've mentioned before, the Chronics, you know, the Ibama, you know, the Coffee, or maybe not Coffee just yet, but I think she'll get there. The Janines, you know, some of these have been around for less than 10 years, you know, and so on. So they're we call these the new generation of artists. Queen Africa's been around for a little while. I've been hearing about Queen Africa for about 15 years. She's one of them. That's why they call her the Fire Mama, because she's not really a singer, she's more of an MC, a sing-jay. She sings and nothing but cultural aspects comes from her, you know. And I forgot to mention one of my favourite artists, of course, you know, I Wayne, because before Chronics was on the scene, it was I Wayne. And if you listen to Chronics, he sounds a lot like I Wayne, like high-pitched voice vocal thing, you know. And he was one. I Wayne was the man back in, say, circa 2004, 5, 6, 7. And then a few years had elapsed, and I never heard much from Irie after that. Then a few years down the line, I started hearing about Chronics, you know. And then Chronics came out with "Smile for Me, Jamaica," and some other songs like that. Here comes trouble, and songs like those, you know. And I remember when I was on SLR, when I was on a radio station, I was playing those songs. But I remember hearing David Rodigan for the first time when I first heard Chronics. It was between 2 DJs. It was between David Rodigan and Bobby Culture on SLR, my station, the station I was on a few years ago. Then David Rodigan on the One Extra BBC. I can't remember who I first heard play Chronics, but I think it might be Rodigan, because Rodigan used to go to Jamaica a lot to interview the artists, some of the new up and coming artists, and he would get, you know, a lot of interviews, sometimes for 4. I remember one year they went, I think it was 2013, they went there, and then the show, the radio show they did, the interviews they did, it massed up to about 5 hours of nothing but interviews. You know, it was amazing. It was one of the best shows on the radio I've ever heard. It was David Rodigan, and it was people like, there's other people like Shawnee B was with him, and some of the team from BBC One Extra. And that was one of the best shows I've ever heard on the radio, you know. And then when Bobby Culture played, Bobby Culture is one of our local DJs now, and he'll bust some of the new artists, so give some of the new artists a push, especially the ones who are coming with that reality theme and that cultural theme and that cultural aspect to their songs. So I think reggae is in a very, very good place, you know, in my opinion. I'm not as worried now as I was, say, 5 or 6, 7, 10 years ago, when I didn't think anybody was coming through. This is before Chronics and Janine. Queen Africa was there, but she was really the only one who's really, from a female aspect, carrying the burning the fire, you know. And people like Etana, I forgot to mention her. Etana is another one who I like very much. Etana was she reminds me so much of Marcia Griffiths, because she's got that strong voice, and her lyrical context is really, really trendy, and it speaks to the masses and to the people. And she can also do love songs, but she can also speak about reality themes, what's going on in the world, and also from an Afrocentric perspective, which is very, very essential at this time, you know. And so, and then Ibamar, I've not heard about Ibamar for about a year or two, but there was a couple of times when I was hearing about him, maybe, I don't know, back in 2016. You've got my favourite current singer, I've got to mention him, you know, Romain Virgo. I just love Romain Virgo. He's another one. I love his voice. When I first heard Romain Virgo, he sounded like he couldn't sing, but the last 4 years he's grown on me, and I think someone has probably got hold of him and touched up his vocality. But he sings now from the heart, and I love his vocal. I just can't wait to hear his new songs, you know, Romain Virgo, you know, and he's one of the new generation of singers, reggae, dancehall singers, right? For me, are carrying the torch, carrying the swing. You know, they're the ones who are saying it right now. They're the ones who are doing it right now. They're the ones who are cutting it right now. And so I just love this generation. You know, it's a very, very good, very, very strong then generation of reggae dancehall singers. We're going to include dancehall because it's really now, it's reggae, contemporary reggae, but some people still refer to it as dancehall, because really reggae was, people look at reggae as the classic stuff from back in the 70s, early part of the 80s, but then say from 80, according to critics and scholars, they reckon that dancehall started in 78, 79. It was Sugar Mine's Live Lovin' album from Studio One, and also Johnny Osborne's album from Studio One called When Do Your Heart Not Your Garments, Truth and Rights. Yeah, almost lost it for a minute there. Forgive me, please. Truth and Rights from Studio One. You know, and some of Freddie McGregor's material, like Bobby Babylon, the album, which I've got here. Some of those songs are dancehall, original dancehall songs. But dancehall is really the trend. It's the songs that are really popular in the dances. And according to the great Ken Booth, dancehall started way back in the 50s, when Coxon Don and Drew Creed and Duke Vin and some of those great sound system operators from Jamaica started playing at lawns and playing at venues like Forester's Hall, Loot Lane and places like that in Kingston, when they, you know, when sound system was first getting underway in Jamaica. And so the songs on those sound systems were mostly from America, because that was a thing at the time, because Jamaica, they really have an industry at the time, you see. And I'll talk about this some more another time, about the history of sound systems. I'll talk about this, this is for another show, but this kind of ties into what we're talking about. So just give me a bit of a history of where it's coming from, but we'll do it thoroughly another time, and I hope it's a whole nother show. But for this current topic here now, the current artists who are carrying the swing, sorry, the ones I mentioned a minute ago, I think it's a really, really good time for them. We're going to support them, we're going to play the music, as long as it's great content within the songs, well written, got great melodies to it. The storylines and the storytellings is hitting to something which is great and uplifting for the body, the mind and the soul, and it's going to carry us as a people forward, then I'll always play it. But if it's negativity, if it's negative lyrics, if it's degrading women and showing disrespect to humanity, I will not play it. You know, I will not give them a chance. I'll throw it away, I'll pull it down somewhere, I won't touch it. But when it's positive, I'll always play it. And so I feel as though some of us DJs need to promote these new up and coming artists some more, and I think they're brilliant. As I said, I think they are very, very good, and they know what they're doing. And as I said, the ones I mentioned, you know, and I think there's going to be more coming up in the pipeline. There's going to be more artists. There's always a new generation of artists. Even Popcorn, someone like Popcorn. I like Popcorn. Even someone like him. I've not heard much of his songs. I've heard a few. But he sounds very, very interesting, you know. He sounds very, very interesting. He's got he's come with his own unique type of attack on songs, you know, and he sounds different. He sounds very, very similar to some of the people like Vybz Kartel. You know, Vybz Kartel is another Sing J, really, Sing J MC DJ, not really a singer. And like Irie is more of a sing J. He's got that high pitched voice, like very, very similar to Chronix. So Chronix, I think, got his inspiration from Irie, because Chronix came after Irie. But whereas with Mavado and Vybz Kartel sound very, very similar. They came out around the same time, because I first started hearing Vybz Kartel, Mavado around 2007. Around that time, 2006, 2007. So they kind of came out around the same time. You know, when I first heard them anyway on the radio. And so there's a time when I kept thinking that Irie was Vybz Kartel and Vybz Kartel was Irie. because sometimes you kind of, they sound so like, it's like back in the day with Culture and Burning Spear. We used to get mixed up with the vocalities because they sound so similar. But after a while, you get used to them. And there was a time when Buju Banton and Terror Fabulous in the 90s sounded the same. And so after a while, you get used to the similarity, the distinction between the two between the two people, between the two voices. But for me, and I like Busy Signal's another one who sounds like Movado as well. Busy Signal. And you got people like one of my favorite DJs of the modern era. You got people like Bounty Killer, or some say Killer Bounty. That is just crazy. That's Bounty Killer. Then you got Beanie Man. I'm not a great fan of Beanie Man. I like Bounty Killer because he's very exciting. But I think with those guys have been over in the industry for over 20 odd years. Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, Buju Banton, and there's a few others. And with this new crop, I've forgotten how I mentioned, this new crop of MCs, Singjs, DJs, I go through them again. Ibama, Ribama, Janine, Queen Ifrica, Etana, Ioctane, don't mention anymore. Busy Signal. For me, they're the new crop. Vibes Cartel, Movado. And the list is endless. Popcorn, Dexter Daps is another one. He went inside, but I don't know what's happened to him. He's gone quiet, but I heard he was inside. But these are the new generation, and I think with the talent they've got, the reggae music for me today, reggae dancehall music, contemporary dancehall, contemporary reggae music is in a very, very good place. I don't think you'll ever replicate the icons that we had back, people like Gregory Isaac, Dennis Brown, Jimmy Cliff. Still have Jimmy Cliff, Ken Briff, all the icons we had. People like Alton Ellis, Burning Spear, John Holt. They're the greats. I don't think this generation can sing and can attack like those guys. Put the DJs like Irie, Dennis Al Capone, Delinja, and so many others. Prince Jazzbo. For me, those guys are the pinnacle. You can't surpass those guys. Like with soul music, James Brown, Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Wilson Pickett, and others. Solomon Burke, Benny King, those are the pinnacle. Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, and so many others, But I think these generation now have held their own, and I think they've kind of brought the music to the world as well. And I think they've done the best they could. They've made. Don't forget, they're coming from a poverty background, an impoverished background, poverty-stricken background in Jamaica, and some of them have had to sing to save their lives and save the life of many others. Because these guys have helped many other people in the ghettos, in the communities in Jamaica, to eat some food and to buy some clothes and to pay their bills. So we can't knock them too much. They've done a lot for not just for themselves and for the music, but for others around them who they've supported and helped on the way up. So we've got to big them up, Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Chrissy B and Motip. Like the pictures, like the videos, share them, as I say, like, share and subscribe to us. We've got some more content coming up about top 10s musicians, top 10 producers, top 10 DJs, and top 10 labels. We're going to be doing a lot of top 10 vocalists. That one's coming up very, very soon. And we've got a documentary we're gonna air, or I should say a little show on the late great Purple Man, who passed away sadly last week. And so look out for those coming up in the next few days. So you take care and look after yourselves and each other. Look after yourselves, look after yourself and each other. Bless up. Peace.